Hello guys, so we're back again with another fragrance video. It's been a while since I've done a fragrance video. The main reason is just because I'm saving up money to buy some more so we can do some more reviews and stuff. For now, this is not going to be a review. This is going to be me just talking about some fragrances, maybe like a top 10 list, or just listing off some of the best basic boring scents, because just because a scent is boring or basic doesn't mean it's a bad fragrance. So I want to talk a little bit about some fragrances that smell good, but they're very basic or boring. So a lot of people think that because it's basic, it's not worth buying, which isn't really true, because some of the best fragrances, some of the fragrances that get you the most compliments are basic and boring. I do see both sides of the argument. I kind of do stay away from some of the basic scents, and then some of the basic scents I really enjoy as well. So with that said, let's get straight into it. The first is Ralph's Club Parfum. Ralph's Club Parfum is a lavender, clary sage, a little bit aromatic tonka style fragrance. So to me, it's got that soapy lavender. It's quite smooth from the tonka or vanilla, whatever's in there. It's something a little bit smooth, soapy. The clary sage gives it like this aromatic feel to it as well. So it is a really nice basic scent. I think the performance is actually pretty good with Ralph's Club. I used to use it as an air freshener, and the smell would stay in my room forever. On clothes, I think it lasts a long time. I don't know if everyone's going to agree. Some people do have performance issues, but I've never had performance issues with Ralph's Club. And that goes for both of them as well, even though I think there is three. The EDP, the Parfum, and the Elixir. I haven't smelt the Elixir yet, but the EDP still had good performance. I don't think there's much difference between EDP and the Parfum. So this is going to be the Parfum review anyway, because most people will agree that is the better one. It's just a little smoother. Most people think that the Parfum is better, so we'll talk about the Parfum. So next will be YSL Myself. So this is a new YSL fragrance. It's also a little similar to Ralph's Club, just in the fact it's a lavender fragrance, even though the smell's not really that similar. So Ralph's Club, not Ralph's Club, Myself by YSL. I compare it to like Azaro Most Wanted, Parfum, the Valentino Born in Roma Intense. I also compared it to Navitus. What's that Navitus fragrance called? Oh, Lyric. Navitus Lyric. So I think it's got a lot of similarities to those fragrances. You may not think it's that similar. So there is one other thing. Prada Luna Rossa Ocean. When I first smelled YSL Myself, I was getting a lot of that Luna Rossa Ocean DNA in the opening. But again, that is more of an orange blossom, lavender type of scent, citrusy, and then it dries down into a little bit more woody vetiver with some aromatic vibe in there. So that's another nice fragrance. YSL Myself will last a really long time on clothes. Even though I do overspray it, I think it's a really good scent. It's going to get you compliments. It's very safe, basic. It's maybe not as basic as some other ones on this list, so a lot of the hate does come from it being basic though. So if you see a low rating or anything, it's just because most people are going to agree it's basic and boring, but that doesn't mean it smells bad. Actually, YSL Myself will get you so many compliments, so many people going to love it. I've already gotten compliments like heaps of times wearing it. I was in the Uber driver said, "What are you wearing?" I had to just say myself. Felt like an idiot saying, "Yeah, it's myself," because he thinks I'm talking about myself, but I'm not. So that's the only downside, is if you do get complimented and they want to know what you're wearing, it's a little bit cringy to say it's myself. So yeah. Anyway, next fragrance is by Valentino. It's called Born in Roma, and this is the EDT version. So this has some similarities to Invictus. but it's a little bit more musky, powdery. I think this one is focused more on the violet note in there. I can't remember exactly what notes are in there, so I may just pull up on Fragrantica the notes. Yeah, and again, this is like violet, sage. It's got some mineral notes, some woody notes, vetiver, ginger. Even though it doesn't really smell too much like that, you still get that clary sage and violet kind of combination there. It does smell like Invictus, so I'm going to say it's probably like some orange blossom or some neroli, maybe jasmine or something in there too. So again, this is more musky, powdery. It's a little sweeter than the Invictus style fragrances, but again, it's basic. There's not really too much going on in the fragrance. It's very safe. You can wear it pretty much anywhere all year round. And surprisingly, this also has good performance. So the first 3 fragrances on this list are very good performing fragrances that they're basic and boring, but they're also very affordable. They're also long lasting. So that's a bonus. Some of the other ones in this list are not very long lasting. So keep that in mind. Like the next one, Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce. This DNA, it's almost been overdone now, but it's a timeless scent. I think that's going to be just good anytime, anywhere. Performance is the only downside to this fragrance besides it being basic and boring. So this is a scent that it's a little bit harder to pick out the ingredients. The only way you can really describe the smell of Fierce would be clean woods, clean musk, slightly soapy around the edge, maybe like laundry, like fresh clean laundry, something like that. So that's the smell of it. You can't really identify too many notes in there, but it is fresh, soapy, a little bit musky, powdery, kind of that type of scent. Maybe you don't agree, maybe not. It's got some clean woods in there as well. So that's Fierce. The alternative to Fierce would be Percival, which is much more woody, a little bit more dry and mature. So you may prefer Percival by Parfums de Marly. Or if you're a kid, you may prefer Mont Blanc Legend, which has even worse performance, but it is a little bit fruitier and sweeter than Fierce. So it's a little less boring just because it's got some apple and it's a little bit sweeter. It's a little bit more fun. But the performance of Legends, it's awful, but it is cheap. So I guess basic, boring, but very affordable. Performance, not so great. Next is Bleu de Chanel. So the EDT version in particular is just pretty much a pretty basic citrus fragrance with some woods in there. The woods are very light. The incense in there is very light. I can't remember exactly all the notes in there, but it's just woody, citrusy, a very natural, very high quality fragrance. Performance does suffer a lot, so most people are going to agree that Bleu de Chanel is very basic. Performance is not very good. It's kind of in the higher end designer price range, so for a designer it is approaching like that $200 mark. It is above $150, so it is more on the expensive designer side, although it's not like niche price until you get up into the Parfum. Then the Parfum is a lot more expensive than the EDT, but the Parfum, it's worth paying a little bit of extra money for something a little bit more sophisticated. You just get like a little bit of that boringness. They fixed a lot of that boring issue in the Parfum. So the EDT in particular is just mostly citrusy, woody. Everything's very subtle, like just naturally citrusy and clean. Like there's not much else to say besides basic boring citrus. That's what it's known for. It's probably the safest fragrance out there. I don't really think anyone can hate the smell of Bleu de Chanel. So for that reason, it's also one of my most worn. It's just a safe grab. It's like really easy to spray it on. I think it doesn't smell like you're trying too hard or anything either. So this one is definitely versatile, very versatile. So that's what I got to say about Bleu de Chanel. And it's very hard to overspray as well. Sometimes I'd put like 30 sprays on and the performance is still not very good. Next is actually For the same reasons why Bleu de Chanel is a little bit basic, this one is Dior Homme Cologne. Now, this is probably the freshest fragrance possibly ever made. Dior Homme Cologne and the clones of that, like Jimmy Choo Man Ice and those style fragrances. So this is a white floral, very bright citrus. I think it's bergamot with neroli or jasmine or orange blossom. It's got some type of white floral, but when you compare the white florals with the bergamot or the very bright citrus, you get like this very sparkling, icy cold feel. It's really got this icy cold lemonade smell going on. It's like really refreshing. You really, like, when you breathe it in, it's like taking a breath of mint. You get that minty ice cold sensation down your nose, and it's just like one of those fragrances that actually does cool you down in a hot day. So this one's really good. Performance is terrible. Being a Dior, you know, the price is actually pretty high, so it's expensive, but you may want to go Jimmy Choo Man Ice, which is a cheaper alternative to that. Again, because it is such a simple, basic fragrance, I mean, that's why it gets a lot of hate as well, but basic is not always bad. Especially, this is probably one of the best for a hot day. Like, you can't go wrong with that on a hot day. So next is Coach for Men. This one is more for the teens, but I think anyone can still wear this fragrance. Coach for Men. It's got like this pear note in the opening, but it's not like overly fruity. It's not like a fragrance you smell and it's like an overload of fruit. It's not like that at all. This one's still pretty much basic, clean and fresh. That's the main thing, is clean and fresh. A little bit of pear, but then the rest is just like, it's hard to explain. So I'll look on Fragrantica just so I can pull up the notes again. Okay, so the notes in Coach for Men, it's kumquat, pear, bergamot, lavender, grapefruit, cardamom, geranium, coriander seed, suede, and vetiver. So the main notes you do smell is the pear and kumquat. The kumquat is like, doesn't smell like other citrus. This is more like an apricot or a peachy type of smell, actually. So kumquat is in the citrus family, but it does have this very sweet, fruity smell. And when you pair that with the pear, it's also like, that's the fruity smell you get going on. But then lavender, cardamom, coriander seed, that's pretty much the other DNA in there. A little bit of vetiver too. So very nice, very safe fragrance. This is actually one of my biggest compliment fragrances, so this will get you so many compliments. This is better for the kids. Performance though, it's really bad. The atomizer on the bottle sucks. So when you spray it, it's like you just got to put on twice as many sprays because the atomizer doesn't really have much coverage to it. So you got to be extra careful to get enough coverage out of that really bad atomizer on the bottle. So next is Jimmy Choo Man Aqua. Jimmy Choo are actually really good at making these basic, boring, fresh fragrances that everyone loves. So Jimmy Choo, props to them on that, but they have terrible performance with almost all of their fragrances. The price on them, sometimes they can be overpriced, but they're always on sale, so you can get them pretty cheap a lot of the time. So Jimmy Choo, I think they're really good entry-level fragrances. A lot of them do smell really great. They're all really safe for people to wear. So the Aqua in particular, Man Aqua, is similar to like those coconut-style fragrances, like Cool Water Intense. It's been a while since I actually smelled Jimmy Choo Man Aqua. So I'm just going to pull up the notes, but I'm pretty sure it's citrusy. It's got like this tropical coconut feel to it, even though I don't think coconut's in there. It's like cardamom, grapefruit, aquatic. It's supposed to be like a tropical beach type of scent, so it gives off that coconutty tropical island smell. Even though coconut's not listed, I'm pretty sure it's in there. So to me, it does smell a bit like Cool Water Intense, but I don't think everyone's going to agree with that. Um, it is a little similar to Boss Bottled Pacific as well. Yeah, those types of scents. So a little bit musky, tropical, fresh, cardamom. Can't really remember what this smells like exactly because I had a bottle, I sold it, and I don't have any more samples. I wish I had a little sample of it so I could keep smelling it and then kind of like tell you what it smells like. But in my head, I remember it smelling a little bit like Cool Water Intense, but it was a lot more fresh, so a lot fresher, but in that same style, lime coconut style fragrance. So we'll move on to the next one. It is Invictus Victory. So I'm going to put Invictus Victory in here instead of the original Invictus, just because I think that you could put Invictus in here, but I think Victory is actually a lot more basic and boring. I think it's just pretty much like a tonka, aromatic tonka style fragrance. So that's pretty much all you're getting is like musky tonka with some black pepper and some aromatics, but it's very basic, just straightforward tonka scent, very sweet, and yeah, there's just not much else going on in there. So for that reason, basic and boring. Hey, so I'm back again. I had to stop the last video because my sister came home and interrupted the video, so I had to stop filming, but I'm gonna finish the video today, so that's why I'm wearing different clothes. I look different right now. Let's go through my phone to see where I was up to on this list. Okay, so the next fragrance is Eros Flame by Versace. The thing I didn't like about Eros Flame was it was just too boring, whereas the original Eros I think is a lot more interesting. It's got the mint, the apple, it's got like that tonka vanilla smell to it. Don't get me wrong, Eros Flame has that vanilla-y tonka smell. It's just different. And in a more boring way, there's not really much else going on, even though they do say there is other notes in there. I don't think there's really too much going on in Eros Flame. I think it's a way more boring version of Eros, and that's not to say it smells like Eros. I don't think it smells anything like the original Eros either. So that's another thing is I think it shouldn't even be in the Eros line. I think it's just too different to even be called a Versace Eros. I think they should have had their own fragrance for Eros Flame. They should have called it something else instead. Even though the bottle looks really cool, I'm sure it performs really well. I've only sampled it on skin, but it didn't really like wow me or anything. It's a nice scent though. It does smell good. That's why I'm putting it in the list, because it smells good. A lot of people do love it, but it's so boring. Okay, so next is by Jean Paul Gaultier. This is Ultra Male. So yes, Ultra Male is a really strong, long-lasting fragrance, and it does smell really good. I personally get like this bubblegum type of vanilla in the opening, even though a lot of people don't get that bubblegum smell like I do. I'm pretty sure it has your vanilla, it has your mint lavender. I think there is pear in the opening as well. I don't really get that pear smell. I pretty much just get like that Le Male DNA, just made way more basic and boring. So this is just a way more boring version of all the other Le Males out there. So Ultra Male is definitely the most boring of the Le Male collection. It's pretty much just, I think it's just pretty much a musky bubblegum vanilla. That's pretty much all I get is this musky bubblegum type of vanilla, and I don't get the fruitiness. I don't even smell the lavender and mint as much as all the other Le Males either. So this one does smell really good. You could also put afternoon 9 p.m. in there. I can't remember if it's PM or AM. There's two different fragrances, PM and AM. But it's one of those. It's the clone of Ultra Male. That one smells pretty much like Ultra Male as well. But yes, it is also boring. So both of those are in the list, I guess. Next is Mercedes Club Black. So this one is a favorite of mine. I really like Mercedes Club Black for a vanilla scent. I recommend it to people because I think it's just pretty much a nice, very simple vanilla scent. It's pretty much pure vanilla with a dark brown. It's a pure dark vanilla with a woodiness to it. So it's your typical woody vanilla, just done really well. Quality's there, performance is amazing. It's basic. Some people get like the floral smell in there. I don't get too much of the florals. I don't even really smell much of the incense. To me, it's just a nice woody vanilla, really simple, really basic. Some people call it boring. I don't know if I would say it's boring. I still really enjoy the smell of it, but it is definitely basic. So I'm putting that in the list, and I will say it smells like Kayali Vanilla 28. Kayali's Vanilla 28 is like Mercedes Club Black with more florals in there. So if you want something a little bit more interesting for a girl, even go with Vanilla 28 because it has those extra florals in there. The jasmine is more prominent in Kayali. And then I think you also have like YSL Baby Cat. It's got some pepper in there, some spice. Or even Guerlain's Spirituiste Double Vanille. That's a little bit more, I don't want to say interesting because that's also kind of boring and pretty simple, but it has something else in there, like a little bit of rose, or there's something else going on in Spirituiste Double Vanille that Club Black doesn't have. So for that reason, I'm putting Club Black in the list. Nautica Voyage is the next one. I personally don't think Nautica Voyage is that basic or boring, but other people do. So the only problem I can really think, besides being boring, with Nautica Voyage is it's not the highest quality. It does smell synthetic, and it's not the best performing fragrance. So it's not the greatest performing fragrance either. The smell is really good. I like the smell of Nautica Voyage. I recommend it to a lot of people if you want something cheap, like a good gym scent, something that's just fresh and clean. It does have like that, as some people would say, cucumbery smell in the opening. If you don't know what the cucumber smells like, maybe you've tried CK Eternity Aqua or Ralph Lauren Polo Blue. That's got that cucumbery smell. So if you know what that cucumber smells like, then you can kind of see the similarities with Nautica Voyage. To me, though, I think it's just a synthetic, fresh, clean fragrance. It's very aquatic, citrusy. Yeah, it's just pretty much aquatic, citrusy, fresh, clean, shower gel type of scent. I can't remember all the notes in there. I think there is some type of floral in there as well, like one of those aquatic florals, whether it's cyclamen or lotus or something like that, you know. So it does have one of those florals in there, even though it's not really a floral fragrance. It's fresh, clean, cucumbery, watery type of scent, and it does smell good. Just a little bit synthetic from that ambroxan and kind of like the cheap ingredients they use. Next would be Burberry Hero EDT. So a lot of people criticize Burberry Hero for being too basic, too boring. I'm kind of like on the fence with that. I don't really agree with them, but I don't disagree either. I think Burberry Hero is a really nice citrusy woody scent. I think the wood in Burberry Hero is very noticeable. The cedar is perfection in my opinion. I think it's got some green elements, whether it's pine or cypress in there. It's got maybe juniper, unless the greenness is just coming from that cedar wood. I can't remember the notes in that either, but I know I remember smelling it and being like, wow, the woodiness is fantastic. I really like the wood. It's dry cedar, but a really nice, palatable, tolerable cedar that smells really good in my opinion. So Burberry Hero EDT, I like the wood in there, citrus wood. It's kind of a basic combination, but it doesn't really smell too much like anything else at the same time. So I would recommend Burberry Hero. So the next is Dior Homme 2020 and also Dior Homme Sport 2021. I'm putting them in the same category because they smell kind of the same, but this is a citrusy, woody fragrance with lots of ISOE super in there. It's got like a slightly resinous feel to it. It's quite musky, masculine, mature, while still having that sporty, fresh smell. It's not like an old man scent. It's kind of mature, but It doesn't lean like old people. It's more like just sophisticated, grown, classy, very classy scent. It is citrusy, but it's not like your typical citrus scent that you smell everywhere else. It's like has its own style, like musky, iso-y, super. It does last a pretty good time. It's not like beast mode, but it is a pretty good performer. So if you want like a nice basic, safe, citrusy, woody scent that doesn't smell like all your other citrus scents, it's a pretty good one to go with, you know. So next I would say Jean Paul Gaultier Le Beau Parfum. So I'm putting the Parfum in the list instead of the EDT, because even though the EDT is more basic, I don't really like the EDT, honestly. So I can't put it in this list because I don't like it. I don't smell and like pretty much most of the ingredients in there. I think the performance of the EDT is horrible. So the Parfum is a lot better. So for that reason, it's still basic. It's just less basic than the EDT. But I'm still putting the Parfum in this list. It's coconut, it's wood, it's some aromatics in there. It's pretty much like that pineapple-y, coconutty, tropical type of scent. Now, listening to that, you would think, okay, that doesn't sound boring in my head. Coconut, pineapple, wood, like, how's that boring? You smell it and it's like, okay, I understand. It's boring now. Like, it just has this boring scent profile to it. It does smell good. I like the Parfum. I think it smells really good, but it is so boring. That's the first thing you smell is like, but I don't hate it. It's just like, this is okay. It gives you that okay kind of smell, and those fragrances, they are pretty safe to wear. They're not going to wow anyone. Maybe you'll get compliments wearing it, but it's not like a wow fragrance. But at the same time, none of these fragrances are wow fragrances. This is boring, but good. So that's the point of the video, is a nice, good, safe, boring fragrance. Next is Afternoon Swim by Louis Vuitton. Personally, I didn't realize this at first. It's got a little bit of that Bulgari Tiger DNA in there, but this is pretty much more citrusy, a little bit more aquatic, citrusy, and that's pretty much it. It's got like that slightly ginger citrus combination, just whereas Bulgari Tiger is almost like musky citrus, or like a candy musky citrus. It's hard to explain the smell of the citrus in Bulgari Tiger, but this is probably one of the better clones of Bulgari Tiger, just because it smells a little bit different. It smells more fresh. It smells higher quality. Performance is not very good on this, honestly, but it does smell citrusy, basic, and I think that's the point. It's not supposed to be too much going on. A lot of the Louis Vuitton fragrances are actually quite boring and basic. Look at Imagination, look at like Meteore and those types of scents, you know. So it is basic, but I think Imagination is less basic, honestly. So I didn't put Imagination in this list, even though you could put it in the list. I put Afternoon Swim in the list instead, because out of all the Louis Vuittons, this is probably the most basic. On the Beach is also pretty basic too. On the Beach smells like Kilian's Moonlight in Heaven. Moonlit in Heaven. Moonlight in Heaven. That fragrance by Kilian. So that's what On the Beach smells like. That's more feminine. It's got some florals, aquatic, citrusy. So yes, that's also very basic, but most people are going to know Afternoon Swim as being the basic Louis Vuitton fragrance. So next is Ralph Lauren Polo Sport Fresh. So this is the fresh flanker of the Polo Sport line. And this, I actually really like this fragrance a lot. This gets you so many compliments, but it is, I think if you looked at the notes on Fragrantica, it's probably not that basic. I know they say like there's iris and all these other stuff in there, but to me, citrusy, woody, and that's pretty much it. Like, I could look on Fragrantica and pull up the notes, but that may take too long. So just keep in mind, this is a fresh, basic scent. like pretty much most of these. It's not as good as the original Sport by Polo Sport. A lot of people probably prefer the original Polo Sport because there's like 10, there's like, pretty sure there's like 20 notes or more in the original Polo Sport. This only has 5 to 10 notes, I think, if I remember correctly. It hasn't got as many notes in it, so this is definitely a more basic version of the original Polo Sport, but it's very nice. It's actually, I sold my bottle that I had, but now I've been so tempted to buy another bottle again just because I missed wearing it. I missed the smell of it. Performance of it is it performs like a Ralph Lauren. It doesn't perform that great, but it's affordable, and I do recommend this fragrance to a lot of people. Next is Versace Pour Homme. So what to say about that you don't already know? It's not much to really say about Versace Pour Homme besides saying it's Ambroxan bomb in the opening, citrusy, aquatic, slightly salty. Most people are going to know it as the aquatic, citrusy, salty Ambroxan fragrance. So where it stands out compared to like Mazzoni Wave and Chanel Allure Homme Sport, I think that it's that Ambroxan. The Versace have their own signature style Ambroxan or aldehydes or alcohol, whatever that is in the opening. Versace have a very distinct smell, and that's kind of like what makes it stand out a bit. It does have tonka or vanilla or something in there, even though I don't really smell it. If it's in there, it's only noticeable in the very dry down after like an hour of wearing it. So yes, it's similar to Chanel Allure Homme Sport and Mazzoni Wave, but this is just way more fresh. It's not as creamy and sweet. Next is YSL L'Homme. This, the EDT by the way, so YSL L'Homme, it's pretty much poster boy for basic boring scents that's completely inoffensive. I even put it in my list of the most safe or most inoffensive fragrances out there, so I think everyone's going to like the smell of YSL L'Homme. It just doesn't perform. You can't really overspray this stuff. It's just too weak in performance. But the smell is, you would think looking at the notes, it says like cardamom, ginger. I think it's got like lots of aromatics in there, like the lavender and citrusy kind of stuff going on. I can't remember all the notes in there, but I'm pretty sure that original DNA is supposed to be the cardamom and ginger smell. But you smell L'Homme, and it's like, it's just that basic DNA you get. It's very boring, very safe. There is actually quite a few notes in this, if I remember correctly. I just don't know all the notes in there. I don't have a bottle on me to smell right now. Otherwise, I could smell it and kind of like pick out some notes. But I would say it's a really nice fragrance. I enjoy it. YSL, I do expect better performance from YSL. I don't know why all the whole L'Homme line and the La Nuit de L'Homme line from YSL don't perform very well, which is weird because pretty much all of YSL's other fragrances perform really good. Like myself, the Y line, Tuxedo, Baby Cat, they perform pretty good actually. So it's just, I expect a little better from YSL in performance, but you can't really hate the smell of YSL L'Homme. Next is Roja Elysium Intense. So I could put the original Elysium in this list, but I'm not going to because I think that just gets the approval for me when it comes to not being so basic, because of the blackcurrant, the leather, the apple. So I think for that reason, I think the original Elysium, it's good. But the Intense took out a lot of those things that I thought made the original more interesting. So I don't get as much blackcurrant, leather, apple, fruitiness. I don't get a lot of that from the Intense. To me, the Intense is just like citrusy. It just smells very citrusy, almost like watered down, way more fresh and basic version of the original Elysium. I think it does have a little bit of this like sour smell to it as well. I don't know. I don't really like the sourness of it. I think the sourness is still present in the original Elysium, but I think it's balanced a lot better in the original Elysium than it is in the Intense. I just think the sourness that you get from the Intense kind of puts me off. I don't think it's going to be as mass appealing as a lot of other fragrances. You would think that Elysium is a mass appealing fragrance, and it is, but not as mass appealing as people think. Like, you can let a lot of girls try it. I'm sure a lot are going to like it as well, but then you are going to get some people that say, nah, I'm not sure about this one, you know. So I know some people think it smells mature, which was weird. I don't think Elysium is a mature fragrance, but it's not like a teeny kid clubbing scent either. So you can wear all of these. It does still smell good. I would just prefer the original Elysium over the Intense. So that's going to be my list wrapped up before I make this video too long. Thanks for watching, guys. And yeah, sorry I had to film second part because the first part got cut off early. But yeah, I'll try and edit this video, make it a little bit shorter. And if you have any video ideas or you have any fragrances you want me to test, let me know in the comments below, and I'll get around to testing them eventually. So peace out. Have a good day.